Carrie Moore.
Oh, Kenny?
Kenny Moore.
Oh.
I don't have my glasses on.
Oh, that's just to sign it, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, you don't wanna speak, Kenny?
Nope.
Kev, you're good?
I'm good.
Awesome. Okay, so moving on, we have our consent agenda, which includes our approval of minutes, appropriations, and council correspondence. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I move to approve the consent.
All right. It's been moved and seconded that we approve our consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, reports of mayor and council. Mr. Webb, I'm gonna start with my left hand tonight, so how about you go first?
How about those cats? Wish everybody a happy new year and welcome our new city attorney and off to a good start in 2017. Thank you.
Mr. Valentine.
Well, I just could, what Mr. Rice said, congratulations, neighbor. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Butts, anything?
He started a ditto on K-State, and come on K-State tonight, if you wanna get after it, let's just get after it.
Are we playing basketball
We're
tonight?
not playing.
Who do you think?
Oh, it is, okay, well, good team, go.
And, I've already done my personal congratulations, Bill, on behalf of myself and the council. So, nice to have you aboard.
All right, Mrs. Cordy.
Well, I have nothing to say about the cats. I do want to point out that somebody has fixed that hole that's in the parking lot at the post office. And it looks a whole lot better. I thought it looked really tacky to have that hole, but it looks better.
Well, way to go, Shane, pass along the kudos.
Right on the property, I don't think it was city that fixed it, but
Okay,
good deal.
anything else, Jan?
No,
All right, Mrs.
I have
Hall?
nothing.
Mr. Edgar?
Nothing.
Well, Tips at least dressed the part for the kids down there. So, all right, well, I too want to say welcome to Mr. Jarnett, a fellow classmate of 1986, so feel like we're representing Kev. We've definitely got the mid-80s covered, especially Mrs. Holly over here. She was a little bit in that time frame too, so. All right, now let's just, I really don't have anything. Happy New Year. Glad everybody is safe and sound and looking forward to a great 2017 and, just lots of good stuff ahead. All right, reports of city officials. Our first, item tonight is a KPP letter of intent. Mr. Shields, I take it that you're gonna
Yes.
get us updated on this one.
Yeah, sure. First item there, Kansas Power Pool, letter of intent. This follows up, the meeting they had and the action you previously directed, as far as our representatives voting at their, annual meeting in December. They have asked, as the letter explains to you there, they've asked us to, each entity to follow that up with a letter of intent, indicating your intent to sign the resolution that is brought to you at a later date in the near future. This is about the change in the contract wording. You got all that information back in December, the details, and you did take action at the December 6th meeting. Our representative voted the way you directed. This is following that up, and simply need approval, if that's what you so choose, that authorize either the city, the mayor, or myself to sign this letter of intent.
Anybody have any questions or comments? This is, anybody? And this puts us in the power pool for 20 years? This is a 20-year deal?
Once the resolution comes back to you, the resolution, again, the wording was presented to you also, 20 years or the date upon which principal of premium, if any, and interest on all bonds are paid in full and the bonds are retired. So if they issue new bonds, this extends that contract until those bonds are paid off.
Yes, Mr. Wenham.
This is probably far afield, hope it never happens, but there's books out and if something drastic, unforeseen ever happened to the power grid, just like when the squirrel blew up our connection to Westar, do we have the ability, if the power grid's gone, we could still run Wellington with our power plant?
Yes.
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 We currently have 40 megawatts, roughly 40 megawatts available to us between our gas turbine and our steam plant, and that's more than enough to carry the current load as well.
And how long, let's say something unforeseen happened tonight, how much fuel
Well,
or how long could we run?
the generator setting on the east side of town and the steam plant are both relying upon natural gas. Now, the gas turbine setting east of town can also run off of diesel fuel, but obviously there's limited quantities of that on site. But as long as we have natural gas flowing, we can keep generating.
So if the power grid went down, would that affect the natural gas flow?
You know, if you're talking terrorist activity, who knows?
Well, who knows? I'm just,
Yeah.
it just crossed my mind. Somebody in the history of Wellington, former mayor and everything,
Totally
this
agree
power
with you.
plant out here may be really a big deal one of these days.
It is now.
It was just.
It was just a weekend
Months
ago.
ago, yeah.
But I mean, there's a lot of things going on around the United States and around the world that make you think about these things. So we'd be good for a few days anyway.
And not to continue the change of subject here, but just to elaborate, Kansas Power Pool also, as a member of KPP, I mean, they've had a number of cybersecurity seminars, classes available to members, as KMEA has
Yeah.
also, the Kansas Municipal.
And a lot of our staff members have attended.
So this was, the other thing I was thinking about is the Kansas Power Pool.
Well,
Let's say the east and west coast. Should we move on or?
no. It's very timely because Carl Meyer just put out a letter about this, all this very thing, and
Right.
so,
So let's, east and west coast or one or the other. The Kansas Power Pool is still offered. Let's say, is that possible? Where our power grid in the Kansas Power Pool or in the middle of the United States would still be operated with the east and west coast one?
The Kansas Power Pool is who we purchase our power through. They're not a transmission company per se. So we still go through SPDC to get our power. So that's who governs.
So it would be.
Southwest Power Pool is who governs this area as far as power.
We're still dependent on the grid, the
Yes, sir.
Kansas Power Pool.
yeah.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Well,
But the grid is broken up into what, is 4 different sections or 5?
4.
Okay, in the United States. Is it possible? I think I knew the answer to this question years ago, but is it possible for one part of it to be functional and the other 2 or 3 aren't?
Absolutely.
If you've got power being generated within that,
Sure.
okay, thank you.
well, and this letter actually from Carl, it was just sent out today, I know you guys have seen it, but it reminds us that, in light of this information, that this is a time to start asking, what's the adequacy of our cybersecurity and training, and it sounds like you guys are on top of it, and Kansas Power Pool's on top of it, but, it says, that they're willing to restart the training programs if there is sufficient interest, and recent news should demonstrate the importance of addressing cybersecurity for all utilities, not just the larger ones, so, I think that's something we stay on top of and just keep being informed. So, very timely. Thank you, Mr. Webb. Anything else you wanna add? Anything else? Anyone?
So Shane, this here is just a letter of intent, meaning we could always change direction later on.
Yeah, when the final resolution comes to you, obviously you have that final decision to make, this is a letter of intent they're asking. Part of this is my understanding, is trying to keep it on the same timeline for all the member cities. They'll get these letters of intent back, work to a specific date for, to make the new contract effective, final decision will be when that resolution actually comes before you.
And just to clear up, like you had said that it's a 20-year agreement or when all the bonds are paid off,
Correct.
whichever is first or whichever is latter.
Whichever is later.
So I mean, that, this could potentially put us into an indefinite contract.
But then, well, it's up to not exceeding 40 years.
All right, so do I have a motion? Or any other questions or discussion?
Shane, is there, at the meetings, I think you guys were at the meeting in Wichita when we had our
That we were
the
having.
squirrel action. Do you know offhand, the last time we had a meeting, there's been some discussions, I think it's Augusta, Winfield, and Wellington are the three largest participants in this group. Is Augusta still in? Because they were wavering.
No, they were still a member city. The vote at that, not at that particular meeting, the actual meeting where they voted on this was in December. The vote was 22 to 4. As the, your cover letter indicates to you, 22 to 2 was to, adopt this resolution, or to bring this resolution to all the member cities. The two cities voting no were Winfield and Attica. Winfield and Attica. Winfield with the comment of
Willing to work.
open-minded,
Yeah,
open-minded.
Right.
So whatever their final decision is, we don't know, but the vote was 22 to 2 at that meeting to bring this resolution back to all the member cities.
And
I recall having lunch with, a year ago when we went up, with the guy from Augusta, the city manager from Augusta. And, the reason they were on the post at that point, was because this was a continual revolving deal, and it really wasn't set up originally to be that way. It was a 20-year commitment, you pay the bond, you got this power, you support the co-op best you can, and so on and so forth. But every year, it seems like something comes up and they're wanting another sign, another signature, extending this original 20-year contract. Does this just go on and on and on?
Well, for the bond, that, the documentation provided to you in December, before you took the other action, explained all those details.
Right.
But potentially, not exceeding 40 years, but this could continue as they take up new projects where they have to issue
Additional
bonds to
bonds.
cover the projects. Yes.
Go ahead.
And which they will.
Most likely,
But-
yes. I mean,
What is our path forward if we don't do this?
Well, we
How
have-
say we start cutting ties.
if
And we get out.
this resolution is not adopted by all the member cities, then the existing contract will expire in 2032. And we will be, on our own to work out electricity or energy contracts.
We would have to negotiate a power purchase agreement like we used to, with Westar years ago.
Now we're
Our-
at 2032,
our-
2032.
so we're in it till 2032 regardless.
That's the current contract that we have.
Right.
I have talked to representatives from Augusta and from Winfield both, and I think the hesitation on this 40-year deal is that some of those of us who were the original, KPP or the original signatories or whatever, they feel like it's getting a little bit eroded and that there are not privileges to those who were the original group. Would you say that's a pretty?
That would be
That-
accurate. The other action they took at this meeting was to increase our capacity payments by $2, I believe, which is certainly a move in the right direction. It still leaves us, quite a bit ways to go. But that was other action. They recognize that fact, and they're trying to take some steps to address that also.
So that those of us that were some of the original group would get.
Well, original probably would apply to, but mainly it's the generating, the cities that have generating.
That have
capacity.
generation, okay, all right, so, anyway, I know that's, in talking with these folks, that's their hesitation, and they're just hoping that KPP KPP will come to some kind of deal with us, or deal with them, so.
So basically, this letter of intent is just based upon a 4-year minimum extension, but up to a 24-year extension based upon basically, there's fairly high likelihood almost of certainty that they're going to be taking on additional bonds, because if they're not growing, then they're diminishing, and that would not be
Right.
positive for us. And this KPP, as Councilman Wellington said before, is a way for us to hedge against pricing with regards to how we're obtaining our electricity.
Right. It's,
And we are a unique city in and of the fact that we can, if we had to, we could produce our own power. It would obviously be at a much higher cost than what we're paying now, and it's obviously in KPP's benefit, and we're an asset to KPP.
Right.
That we have that capability that if and when something was to happen on the power grid, they would heavily rely upon us.
Right.
Our issue is that we have, with those resources, or assets, there's a lot of liability or cost associated with keeping them up and running, obviously, for numerous different reasons. And so, it sounds to me like we are kind of eroding our power, if you will, with regards to this, letter of intent, and it's really, I mean, we're talking 26 years from now, and it's hard to see 6 months, much less 26 years. I mean, am I missing something?
well, as we discussed before, there is potential risk either way. I mean, if we could see the future, we would know the answer clearly. But there is a risk either way. There's different opinions among KPP members, obviously from the vote, among staff members, as we've discussed. You've been provided the full information, and now we're following initially your first direction in the vote. And now this is a letter of intent that they have followed up on.
I mean, I've read, I'm not gonna say I've read every word of that, but I've read through quite a bit of that. Jason, what's your opinion, what's your intake, and same with you, Shane?
I would echo what City Manager Shields said, as far as if we knew the future, this would all be easy, and we don't. Obviously, KPP sees, an endpoint, and that's not a good thing for them as a business model, and that's what they're trying to avoid. KPP has been a good thing for us overall. I think an agreement can be reached.
That's where I stand. I mean, so overall, I mean, I think it would be positive for us to continue.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I'd like to make the motion that we, empower the city manager to enter into this letter of intent with Kansas Power Pool.
All right.
And I'd like to have one point of discussion.
Sure.
And I can only speak for myself, and you guys can speak for yourself, but I would like to add to that you guys encourage them to, remind them of the asset that Wellington is to KPP, and that we do have an expense that's associated with those, what makes an asset, and we need to make sure that we're doing the best that we can do to make sure that we're passing along those cost savings to our citizens.
We've been pretty vocal about that.
Okay?
Good deal, we'll continue. All right, so it's been moved and seconded that we give our city manager the authority to sign this letter, or this letter of intent. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. All right, Mr. Shields and Mr. Newberry, go forth and be vocal. All right, our next item under reports of city officials is a FBO and a concession agreement.
This is a fixed base operation concession agreement. This is for the airport and the sale of fuel regarding to airport management or manager Patrick Hamlin. It provides, I mean, this was discussed, the council discussed this potentially in a meeting, and this was the direction the council indicated. This is your final opportunity to take action on, binding action on the discussion.
All right. Any comments or questions? construction agreement. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no? All right. And our third item is an update on the extension project out of the airport, the runway extension.
The update on the FA, or the runway extension project, came to us via email on the December 29th. Basically, it did proceed to a congressional review, and that happened during that week, last week. The conclusion, as you can read there in the email, is that it does not allow for AIP to participate in the full cost of the proposed sewer force main installation. Translation of that means, it will cost us more to accomplish the project, the sewer part of the project. They will not cover the full 90% as they discussed originally. And that email explains the reasons they've come to that conclusion. It will be prorated. The cost of the project will be, that portion of the project will be prorated for the utility improvements. So what that final number is, we don't know yet because it will be prorated. Our consulting engineer will do that and then submit to the FAA for approval. So that final number, we don't know exactly what that will be yet. But the answer is that they will not cover the full 90% of the sewer portion of the project as originally they indicated.
Because there are commercial entities that will benefit.
Right, there are other commercial entities that do not meet the full definition of the aviation use.
Right.
Private commercial.
Private, yes, private commercial entities, so.
So that's the update on that. Funding options, obviously, after that fact would, number one, we'll have to see what that final number is. We'll look at the utility fund to see where that stands in relation to that. We're already considering, going to do the bond issue for the 80,000 portion that we had to cover initially. There would be the opportunity probably to increase that bond amount rather than using utility dollars. So we'll just have to see when that final number comes to us, what may be the best option at that point.
Yeah, I visited with, Patrick today and he was, disappointed, kind of how this has progressed, but he's not giving up and certainly I think that there are other, like you said, other ways to maybe make this happen, so. All right, anything else?
Nope, not on that subject, no.
Okay. One thing before we don't have a public hearing. We have no ordinances. I guess we can go ahead and do our resolution if you'd like to go ahead and do that. And tonight, our one resolution that we have is a resolution accepting and approving the 2017 chemical bids for the water treatment plant as submitted and recommended.
This is the annual process for the bids. We did this last year in the same manner. We took the bids, the various different chemicals that are used. The memo there provided to you lists the lowest bid amounts, the specific type of chemical for that specific company. That is what staff is recommending you approve based upon that list. That's the various chemicals used. The total obviously is a large number, 119,000, but that is all the chemicals that are used by the various utility departments.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right. Have a motion?
I'm going to wait for these bids.
Okay.
I'll say.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve this resolution accepting and approving the 2017 chemical bids. Madam Clerk, could you please do a roll call vote?
And Mr. Betts,
Yes.
Mr. Valentine,
Yes.
Mr. Wetta,
Yes.
Mr. Etter,
Yes.
Mrs. Holly,
Yes.
Mrs. Cordy.
Yes.
6 affirmative votes for Resolution 5794.
All right. We don't have any study items, but before we go into our executive session, I'd like to, I should have done this during my mayor and council report, but I'm really can come to a point where we can remove some of the barricades on Lincoln and at least get Lincoln partially open. It is really starting to affect businesses, and, after visiting with Mr. Jack, it sounds like the concern for the building, the Lincoln Place building, is not so much that it will fall out, but possibly down. And I mean, Sean, I know this is your, this is your first meeting, but, and I don't know what our liability is, but I also know that I don't wanna see businesses, affected, you know, any more than they are. I mean, we're in the jeopardy of losing our theater. I'm just gonna say it. So,
The update on that is, the update from this morning from the insurance adjuster is that the second bid number for demo is ready from an outside perspective, but awaits final cost to run based on interior factors involved. That was our update this morning. We are proceeding to prepare the bid document, the demo as in demoing any other house, building in the process. We are preparing the advertisement for that to send out. Obviously, this is gonna take, significant, certainly larger, company that's probably familiar with commercial type buildings. We are going to go ahead and send that process out to have the bids in hand to determine how we proceed. That is a topic I've discussed with City Attorney DeJarnett, reviewed the ordinance. I don't know if he has any comments on the steps that we need to take, that are any different than before, but we are proceeding, to be ready to act, and if we wanna go ahead and act. As far as the street closure, obviously, we know it's impacting other businesses, and that's unfortunate. We don't, want to lose anything else for that reason. If the governing body so directs, they want the street open, we will do that. Obviously, it was closed for public safety. Yes, originally, it was the fear of the building, with the water pool that was on the roof, forcing that wall out where it would fall rather than crumble. That concern did alleviate somewhat because the pool of water, the hole developed and the water went into the building, as you've been informed before. Obviously, we still occasionally have the tremors, that could impact what happens to that building. So there's certainly, in my mind, some liability risk that would exist one way or the other. If the governing body so wishes for us to go open any portion of that street, we can do so.
well, and even if we just opened up, the street, but kept the parking there and the sidewalks and everything, because the problem is right now is people are walking there anyway. Obviously, they're not parking, but I was standing there watching and the mailman walked right down that sidewalk. So I think if we could barricade the sidewalk and that parking around there more so and make it, pretty, very well known that that area should not be, people should not be in that area, but yet keep the street open. I don't know. Anybody?
Sean, where do we stand from a liability standpoint now that we've already acknowledged that we've got that street blocked, and if we go in, let's just say we even opened up half of it, so it was just open for traffic that was headed east.
That would be my concern. The city needed at one point that. I understand the water situation, it may have abated a little bit, but understand if something were to happen, that building comes out, hits a passing car, you're gonna get sued. And haven't heard any professional input as far as saying, oh, it's safe to drive right down the street. So as your attorney, I'd be really concerned that they have a basis probably for claim. And I don't think even a demo expert can tell you that it's gonna come straight down. Even if it comes straight down, there's not gonna be debris coming out of the street. I mean, it's a three-story building.
Don't break to an individual that's not caught.
Right. And obviously, I understand the mayor's concerned about people crossing barricades. They're assuming some risk there. They're gonna have a real problem saying, hey, you guys screwed up and you put them on notice. I just would be very concerned for the liability and actual liability, not just you got sued. If you decide to open that street without some professional input, one, because you have deemed it unsafe at this point.
Okay.
I just would be concerned.
Another question I have, and you may not have the answer to this, and this might be more of a statement, is that there are insurance policies out there that have clauses within them for actions taken by city or government that could affect negatively a business. So would there potentially, for those businesses that are being affected negatively, be coverages for that?
You mean the business having an insurance policy that's
There's clauses in a lot of business
Business
policies that talk about business interruption based upon government actions or municipality actions.
I think that would depend on that individual business's policy, and obviously.
Right.
Anything like that's a rider that increases it, I don't know if any of those businesses.
A lot of them are standard, but
I would think the region's probably the only one that's probably affected, business-wise.
Well, I just know that I know they're all getting very, very frustrated and
Completely.
certainly tired of the situation. And, I've, spoken with most of the business owners in that area. I mean, the fortunate thing, they do have the parking lot, the city parking lot, which is not in the best shape, but at least it's there, across the street. But it's just, I think just the inactivity and so the burden, I guess, comes back onto the public, that we just need to be more supportive of our theater while it's in a, kind of a sticky situation, so. I appreciate your opinion, and I just, like I said, we go there quite often, and I feel bad, because on a night when they should have had 100 people in that theater, there might have been 40, and I think it's just because people don't wanna mess with either the parking or this whole situation down there.
the position basically that we are in is that this is what we as elected officials are put in this position, is to make those tough decisions. And are we willing to knowingly, based upon the advice of our council, take on that additional liability for that one business? And, that's something that all of us up here collectively have to make that decision. If that's the case, then at what point do we wanna go across that line? And if we do, what does that look like? Does it look like opening half of it? Does it look like opening up the whole thing? That's obviously, we're the only ones that can make that decision, and we are going to be taking on, like Sean said, some form of liability.
Is there any way that we could maybe have Mr. Jack or, somebody give us that professional opinion on whether or not we could open up the street at least, or?
That's our attorney's professional opinion, is we better not open up the street.
Well, even half the
Right.
I mean, my opinion is, without some professional saying, hey, it's
Well,
all
that's what I'm
fine.
saying.
Outside.
Yeah, outside, not just, hey, Shane thinks it's okay, but,
Yeah,
I think to take action tonight without some
right,
opinion really, really opens you up.
right.
You get that opinion, at least you have a fallback to say, hey,
Or even
Still
half,
get sued.
even half.
obviously the other option,
We'll
is
take
we
somebody
proceed
down
with
with us.
condemnation, we pay the demo, but I don't think you wanna do that when it's working through a process. It's relatively slow, we all know working with an insurance company, always
Right.
is, but it's making some progress.
Okay.
It appears to me that we're almost at the end of the negotiation, though. They're getting bids on
Okay.
demolition, and, I'm anxious too about getting it settled, but we're almost there.
All right.
Yeah, I think it's a
Yes, Mr. Valentine.
I'm not trying to throw cold water on any of this stuff, but I have talked to someone who knows building construction. If that building falls to the east, it'll be 1.5 times the height of that building. If it falls to the west or the south, it will be 1.5. So that's some things you better consider, and I've noticed it already, I don't know whether anybody else has or not. The front of the building is leaning to the west now. If you look up at the top,
To the west or to the east? To the west?
no, it's leaning back, inward, it's leaning inward.
That's a plus.
That's a plus that way,
Well, but
unless it goes south.
it's not a plus.
And then at that point, I guess, I'm gonna say this out loud and kind of point this towards Sean, is we don't have the alley, you know, barricaded. And so, since we don't have the alley barricaded, and we've already, obviously, we've shown that we have a concern for the building going as far south. That was a question I've had all along, is if it's going that far south, why do we not have the alley? I know that the answer is that we were told that that side of it is stable, but would we not be in the exact same situation as we would be with moving the barricades, just that if it falls and it goes to the west and into the alley and somebody's hurt there, that the fact that we don't have it blocked off and we have this, we're gonna be open to liability there as well, correct?
Potentially, I mean, yes, obviously without my legal background, yes. But remember, this was all based upon originally the report from the one company we had to view the building. And there, I mean, we do have that initial professional report, and the concern was falling to the south. So that's why we initially based the blockage on what we did. The alley certainly, I mean, is, you know, anywhere around that building would be a potential concern.
I'm gonna defer to Shane on that, because you have a professional that has told you south wall was a weak point. I drive up and down the alley, obviously, because I park back there, but I thought the same thing.
Well,
I
maybe.
don't drive it very often.
What you're
Glad
saying
you're on
is
our
you-
team.
You don't drive it as much as what you used to, is that what you're trying to say?
True.
Well, I would say if it's possible to maybe have Mr. Jack or, you know, maybe revisit now that the water has come in, you know, where we are in potential of it going, so. All right, thank you, sorry I threw that monkey wrench, because we were really on board to get done quickly, so. All right, we have a motion.
Madam Mayor, I move that we recess into executive session, consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in an attorney-client relationship, to include the city attorney, the city manager, city clerk, the finance director, and the council, right? Okay, for a period of 15 minutes. So we will, as soon as
All right, we're gonna recess into executive session. I guess we have to vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? All right, we're recessing.